So going back to E3, I think the relativization of console exclusivities hurt E3. I'm openly against the relativization of console exclusivities. I do believe that. Oh god, I mean the quest goes on. It's an nested quest. I do believe that when you take out exclusives from the equation, you destroy the personality of a console. Nowadays, it's the populist opinion nowadays is to say, no, but that is that affects the customer. You are not pro customer because you think that console exclusives did play a role. If you read any online forum ever, they will tell you that it's an unpopular opinion, truly unpopular opinion, because the normal is the populist opinion of saying, but I want exclusives everywhere. I want the games everywhere, available for everyone, and you don't want them. This is generally the argument. You don't want Ghost of Tsushima or whatever available on another platform on PC because you are all. Generally, this is the rhetoric, which doesn't have any logic. Generally, the rhetoric is because you are a 40-year-old idiot who fights over pieces of plastic, generally. That's the perfect example of a relativist argument. The perfect example. What you are saying, that the relativization of console exclusives does have negative consequences, is bad. You are saying it, the ad hominem fallacy. You are saying it because you are an idiot. Because you fight over pieces of plastic. No, it's not fighting over pieces of plastic. It's not fighting over pieces of plastic. It's much deeper than that. I've explained this in one of the streams. The relativization of console exclusive. When you say, no, they have to be exclusive everywhere. Now is the era of time exclusives, and only Nintendo is our last samurai. Damn it, you think like I do? Do you think that exclusives play a role? Then we are in the minority. I do believe that that's the very reason why the Nintendo Switch outsells all consoles, and it's the best. I think that by now, previously it was a close competition between PlayStation and Nintendo, but I think that Nintendo by now, as you say, I said something extremely similar to what you are saying, that console exclusivities do play a role in giving the console, which is not fighting over pieces of plastic because we are idiots, for anyone watching this as a YouTuber, because I know that's a predominant opinion, that you are an idiot who fights over pieces of plastic. No, if we get into the reasoning behind that, is that the console is deprived from any personality at all. Like, it's so empty of logic saying that all games should be available everywhere, because that destroys the purpose not only of different consoles, it destroys the purpose of original game design. If you think about it, think about Tearaway on the PS Vita, and think about how many special functions it uses, or the 3D effect of Super Mario 3D World of the 3DS, or the dual screen functionality of a lot of Nintendo DS games. All of that variety is lost. See, that isn't idiots fighting over pieces of plastic, people. That's a relativist argument. It's an ad hominem fallacy. You're insulting the person telling you the argument rather than the argument itself, rather than the logic behind the argument. And that's the most predominant opinion nowadays. It's the most predominant mindset. And it's the very reason why I think Nintendo precisely will. I mentioned this. The PC, I think consoles, the PlayStation and Xbox, I'm sorry, but what I see is that they have been greatly consumed by the PC market, and the only one that survived was Nintendo. So, and it's impossible to replicate that success. Not even the Steam Deck, which is great and has a lot going on for it, but not even the Steam Deck comes close to the originality of a lot of Nintendo IPs. Things like Metroid Prime 4. Only with Metroid Prime 4, there's hardly anything that they can do without the... Sony and Microsoft have destroyed a lot of franchises from the 7th generation resistance, kill zone. In the case of Microsoft, well, let's not even think about it. Millions. They are going to recover Perfect Dark, but it won't. I don't think it will be the same. Let's continue. Now that we finished this quest, let's go for Make Room for New Blood. I think it was over there. Through here. Let's continue with that one. Millions. To Human, for example, is an obscure Xbox 360 game. But it was meant to be a Microsoft franchise. Banjo-Kazooie, well, and millions, and not millions, dozens of Crackdown. The first Crackdown. People love to say that Crackdown 3 is terrible. Sorry that I didn't read your last message, Pekka. But game budgets are huge now. 300 to 500 million to create a AAA game. You can't risk it and limit yourself to just one platform. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. But most of it goes to advertising, huh? Not to the game development. It mostly goes to advertising, huh? Careful, because a huge part of the budget goes to advertising, to the advertising campaign, rather than the quality of the game. Rather than the quality of the game, it goes to the 50-50. Yes. So I think, or even more. I would say it's quite a bit more. But well, regardless of the percentage, the double A games, they are hard to come by. That's why I love THQ Nordic and Titan Quest and Darksiders so much. Double A games are not. They have to get that return of investment that the Karen is mentioning. That it's true. They simply can't have a return of investment except for Nintendo. The answer would be to increase the quality of the games, like Nintendo does. Nintendo sells them exclusively, and they sell more than PlayStation games, so, and Xbox games as well. So I love that I can talk about these things with all of you people, because in most chats, when you say this, console wars, idiots fighting over pieces of plastic, I want the whole, you're an idiot who fights over pieces of plastic. No, it's not fighting over pieces of plastic. It has to do with the identity of the console. Like, I would be the first person benefited from everything being on PC, but I understand that it would destroy the identity of companies that have been around for 30 years, and that would be sad. Going back to the E3, that I didn't conclude that section. I feel extremely nostalgic about E3, because none of us as players, I don't know if any of you have had the dream of going to attend to an E3 conference, the originals, not the Summer Game Fest. If you have the dream, I personally have. It was one of my childhood dreams, and pretty much I know for a fact that it was the dream of a lot of people, because originally E3 was kind of like, you couldn't enter E3 as normal public. You needed to be a gaming press. It was a closed conference in which there would only be developers and an authorized gaming press could enter. And by the end of the E3's life cycle, they opened that restriction. I think it was one of the last ones, 2016 or 2017. They lifted that restriction. They lifted that restriction, and right when they lift that restriction, E3 is gone forever, thanks to Mr. Doritos guy, Jeff Keighley. Hope he's enjoying the hotel over there with Kojima and everything. And honestly, people, let's be honest, we had legendary E3 moments. Not only the memes. Let's not just focus on the meme culture of Reggie coming on a stage and saying my body's ready. Not only that, not only the memes, but also there was a huge. It was a huge source of information first. It was a huge source of information that we lost. Second, it was a dream of many of us to attend to E3 eventually, someday. And third, besides those two,
your leather will be delicious.
the E3 was an important part of gaming culture. like set the difference. I mentioned this on stream. That set the difference between the Oscars and E3. It set a barrier between the film industry and the video game industry, like saying it's not the same. It's not the same type of entertainment. It's not the same because video games are an active form of entertainment and movies are a passive way of entertainment. So they are radically different. So it was unique, it was distinctive, besides having the memes and all of the crazy stuff. There was a lot of artistic value to them as well. There were a lot of concerts made by the official, for example, the Skywalker Symphonic Orchestra, that was the developer of the God of War 3, and I think also God of War 4. The Symphonic Orchestra would play live at E3 in a lot of cases. So we also missed a lot of artistic value as well. See how many things we've lost. And I'm sorry, the Summer Game Fest and the other one, the other one that the Oscars, the one that is like the Oscars, the Game Awards. I'm sorry, they don't replace E3 because it's completely different. And well, as I've said, in my case, I would also add, not any of you guys, but in my personal case, I think there's an extra component of illiteracy by Jeff Keighley that as I've said, he does not have the professionalism, knowledge, and expertise to rival Miyamoto at all. Like I think it is evident, but yeah. Or even from, or Peter Molinex from Xbox, or I don't know, or Kaz Hirai from Sony, or Jack Tretton, John Lydon, especially Kaz Hirai. When Kaz Hirai left Sony, you could see the drop in quality. I think Kaz Hirai was an integral part. Well, then Jim Ryan. Let's not even talk about Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan and Herman Holst. I definitely don't like the direction that they took Sony, because they basically copied Microsoft, and Microsoft made a lot of mistakes, and I think Sony made the same mistakes one generation later.
Animal product with 3
pretty much with Jim Ryan and Herman Holst. Like, I think they destroyed the identity of Sony as a brand in gaming consoles to a high degree, and well, I think they did it. I'm quite. I criticize that a lot because, as I've said, I understand that they need to, that investors always demand more money constantly, and that's the way any industry works. But at the end of the day, see how ironic this is. It had a negative impact on the player. It wasn't pro-consumer to relativize the meaning of the word exclusive. I talked about this. Pretty much, I would say it was responsibility of Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella in the case during the 8th. I don't know if it's interesting, if the topic is interesting for you guys, but for me, I'm quite passionate about this topic, about gaming history, because it explains the present in a lot of cases. Hey, we have to turn in that one right at the monolith. It explains the presence, the present in a lot of cases. Sorry. Because Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella, at the beginning of the 8th generation with the original Xbox One, how do I put it? They undermined the metaphysical meaning of the word exclusive. If you pay attention to a lot of discussions online from that period of time, yes, the fan, thank you very much. Great service. Good people, we're done. If you think about it, if you take a look at a lot of forums back from that period of time, you realize that they turned the meaning of the word exclusive from its objective metaphysical meaning that I always mention. I won't go over it again, but this is a gaming mouse because of its specific combination of molecules and particles, not because we agreed to call it a gaming mouse. They changed the meaning. Exclusive wasn't only released on your platform, it was released on your platform plus PC. PC became kind of like this neutral. There's an amazing, one of the best, one of the greatest realist philosophers ever that analyzes this process. It's a British Polish philosopher called Sigmund Bauman. Sigmund Bauman. He was Polish, but then he became British. He did all of his work over at the UK. One of the great philosophers of metaphysical realism, my school of thought and scholasticism, that mentions that perfectly explains this phenomenon. When you undermine the objective meaning of the word, and exclusive objectively means only one platform, and then Phil Spencer and Satya Nadella sociologically and psychologically undermined the meaning, the objective meaning of the word exclusive. See what a complex mental process, and it's not just people fighting over pieces of plastic. There's a social psychology behind it. Because back in the day, if you take a look at forums, people will mostly agree that exclusive means your platform plus PC. PC became neutral territory because of Microsoft ecosystem. But before that period of time, and this is precisely when metaphysical reality collides with relativism, before that, if you take a look at forums which are previous to that one, to that period of time, to the 8th generation, the beginning of the Xbox One, people had a direct, but how you call exclusive, lol. Yeah, as you can see now, how do you call it exclusive now? No, for me I use the metaphysical objective reasoning, but you can see that my mind works pretty differently. In my case, I can tell you that's a process of relativization. They relativize the meaning, socially, they relativize the meaning, the objective meaning of the word exclusive. I know you say it ironically, that you can see my point. But pretty much, there's a difference. There's a huge difference socially between users and players and gamers, pretty much. Hey, we've finished all of the quests here, then we can proceed to the quests that are over at the village. We have to go back to the village. Let's grab the quests over at the village now that we have freed up. I mean, platform owners in their ass. Ah, you mean how would they call them exclusive? Yeah, well, they would need to address metaphysical reality, and that's impossible because that won't give them money. It's impossible because, see, this is precisely what I always mention. Yes, exactly. It pretty much is, but that has a consequence, Bekaran. Has a consequence. Has a consequence. Because at some point, as I always say, relativism collides with metaphysical reality. You can do it. You can do it. You'll get the money. The investors will be happy for some time. For some time. For some time. You can socially influence, undermine the meaning of words, but with a relativist stance, I can tell you that exclusive, it does not mean only one platform. It means one platform plus PC, or I don't know. Sometimes there's also the word exclusive when it's released on the Xbox One and the PS4. I've seen this with Valkyria Chronicle, with Valkyria Revolution, and a weird spin-off of Sega of the Valkyria Chronicles series. You can undermine it. You can psychologically and socially undermine the true meaning of a word for a period of time. But then the sum of our mental perceptions, the opinions of players, they will collide with empirical evidence and metaphysical reality. Then they collide. And when they collide, generally, people are able to see metaphysical reality. Right now, there has been a resurgence, not in saying that the meaning of the word and all of this crazy, and I'm going a bit deeper into the matter. Most people subconsciously won't do this process. on average, because they don't have time to think about video games at that level or whatever, totally respectable reasons, but they will, for example, say that what's the point of owning the console if I have everything on PC? I've seen a resurgence in this. Nowadays, I don't know if you've seen it, people. I don't know if you've seen it. That is metaphysical reality colliding with that original undermining that relativization, changing the meaning of the word exclusive. At the end of the day, the users are not stupid. We are not stupid. And even if you try to undermine the meaning of a word, defeat the disgusting monster, try home. At the end of the day, people will realize that there's a. They won't explain it with these words. It's a subconscious process. They won't explain it with these words. They won't explain it with these words. But subconsciously, they will say, "What's the point of owning a PlayStation, an Xbox, or well, in the case of Nintendo, it doesn't have that problem. That's why I think it will sell more because there's a coincidence, there's a cohesion between their acts and metaphysical reality." In the case of Microsoft and lately PlayStation, because of Herman Holst and Jim Ryan, they will have a collision with metaphysical reality. They already had it. If you think about it, if you look at statistics, the PC market has, after the seventh generation, after the PS3 and the Xbox 360, the PC market absorbed a massive migration of users to the PC platform. PC is now the main platform. PC has mods for every game. The release is always for PC. Previously, we didn't have optimized releases. One of the reasons why I highly recommend you get the original 2 Kiden on the PS Vita or the PS4 because the PC version is broken, among others. Like I don't know, Saints Row 2 was a shitty port. Batman Arkham Knight, the last one, build a PC kind of expensive, or is it not nowadays compared to consoles? For most people, consoles offer a more convenient way of playing games. Yeah, definitely. That's the argument. But once they taste PC, if they ever do, that's pretty much the only argument. But there was another thing. There's another thing. Modern consoles are like PCs. They are PCs. The Xbox One, you never go back. Yes. No, but besides that, they are PCs. The Xbox One, isn't it constantly connected to the internet? Isn't it the latest one? Isn't it constantly connected to the internet with constant updates and everything? It's even more restricted than the PC. The PS5, I won't get into it, but it's a PC. Basically, the architecture pretty much is they do an APU. They combine the CPU and the GPU, but it's pretty much the same. It may have overheating. They have frame rate limits. They don't have that touch of ingenuity that The Last Samurai, as you perfectly described. That's a good definition, huh? I'll apply it to my analysis a bit more frequently. The Last Samurai, that is Nintendo. That component of ingenuity is not there. They feel devoid of existence, and precisely I can understand that for the average user, the console is convenient. People who don't have a lot of time to invest on the subject, but at that point, and I've treated I've treated that argument precisely, Pekarin, that more convenient, yeah, for how much time? A brief period of time, because the console will be outdated, and pretty much it will be obsolete quite fast. So it's convenient, but at the end of the day, if we begin to sum the prices of changing your console every few amount of years, it's not that cheap. Give me a second. Kill the princess of Bulgaria. Use backup. Alright, we'll grab all of the quests and then we'll continue. Anyway, we spent a lot. Do you think this console generation will last longer than the previous one? I do believe that. Be ready to listen to a depressing argument. I think that eventually I think it has already happened. I think metaphysical reality will collide with that undermining, that relativist undermining of the words that specifically Phil Spencer, Satya Nadella, Herman Holst, and Jim Ryan, the four of them. See that I'm talking about both sides equally. I think eventually there will be a point in which users will progressively learn to build PCs at
For the gods.
earlier ages, the youngest possible. Because if you think about it, kids are nowadays, this is their console. Don't be fooled. For 99% of kids and even teenagers, this is their console, a mobile phone. So they will get into tech as we progressively get generations that are more uh, tech savvy, as we usually say, that they are used to technology. It's inevitable that they will think about building a PC much earlier. As soon as they have the minimum amount of money required, they will cater to PC. They will realize this collision between metaphysical reality and this relativist undermining of words, and they will reach the conclusion that why do I need a console if I uh, can play everything on PC? If this trend continues, which I personally hope it doesn't. I know it's not pro-consumer, my stance, but I give you logical reasons as to why. I think Nintendo will survive definitely, but I think the other two, Microsoft and Sony, I think they will have a problem, and that the console generation uh, won't be successful. I think, in fact, that they'll have to change the hardware because it's the only thing that they have going. The power, the power of their GPU, the performance. When you take exclusives out of the equation, when you undermine the meaning of words for relativization socially, when you destroy the objective meaning of words, I think it will be much. I don't know what you think, Pekarin, but I think it will be shorter because of what I said. I think the PC market has already consumed the Xbox One and the PS5. I think it has already consumed those markets, or it's constantly consuming it. And I think Nintendo stood it. Well, they miraculously revived after the disaster that after the Wii U. What a what a dark age when the Wii U was released. I never had one, but it was a dark age definitely. And it was a miraculous revival. People, it was a miraculous revival if you think about it. Uh, 2017, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild pretty much inherited the best traits of The Witcher 3, which was developed back in 2015. It inherited the great legacy of Xenoblade Chronicles. Another great game suggestion, Pekarin. I don't know if you played it, Xenoblade Chronicles. Uh, the Xenoblade Chronicles series. It's also like an offline MMORPG on the 3DS, on the Wii, on the Switch. So yeah, any of those versions work. On the 3DS, the 3DS port of the Xenoblade Chronicles played on Wii. Yes, the 3DS port. It's mind blowing because it has pretty decent frame rate. Even had a copy on 3DS and Wii. The 3DS I play. I have been also playing the 3DS copy, and it's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So once again, where's the entrance to that section of the valley? So yes, my personal opinion, my 2 cents, Pekarin, I think it will be shorter. I don't know if you like Microsoft or Sony. I do. I have appreciation for them. That's why I say this. But yeah, I think that I don't like the direction that Jim Ryan took for the company and Herman Holst as well. And in the case of Microsoft, I think Phil Spencer, that is so liked by the Xbox community. I think the Xbox community is at an even worse spot with the Netflix and the Game Pass system, with the adaptation of Netflix's model with the Game Pass. I can understand why it's so popular because it's cheap and free. Not a fan of the second one. Maybe I need to give it another try. The second Xenoblade Chronicles. I never played that one. I only played the first one, and I still have to finish it. But it was amazing all the way through it on the 3DS. It has a pretty good performance, huh? Surprisingly pretty good performance. Which was the exit to? Which was the exit to access that valley? First one great, then the second one is worse. Damn it! You're discouraging me. Damn it! You're discouraging me. But no. I've seen it, yeah, and yeah. The first one is pretty difficult to beat. The first one, as I see it, is pretty difficult to. I cannot imagine a game that I imagine so, but yeah, lol. Yeah, I imagine so, but this is the exit. Come on. But I mean, no, it's a dead end. This place is a maze. It's an absolute maze. Can we do the other ones? I don't know. It involves going there precisely. It involves going there. The ancestors' chambers, and we have to turn in those. Damn it. No, yeah, I don't like how much. I don't know if you like the new direction that Microsoft and Sony have taken from the 8th generation onwards, but basically, I think I think it at some point, as I've said, metaphysical reality will find its way. It always finds its way because you cannot, just like you cannot close your eyes and ignore the existence of the sun. This is pretty much the same. There will be a point in which metaphysical reality will impose itself. It was still here. Yeah. What a mess. If I have to do this every time that we have to come back here, I better finish all of the quests in this zone, explore everything 100%, and then get out of here. I think eventually they will collide. Eventually metaphysical reality will collide with this social relativization of it, and when that happens, people will realize that is not so pro-consumer to have everything available on every platform. It's not so pro-consumer. Initially it may be, but then the consequences, just like the stat system that we've been mentioning about Blizzard and min-maxing as a design philosophy of the game. By the way, people, if you are watching this as a YouTube bot or a Twitch bot, in the first 2 hours of the analysis of today's stream, we analyzed the influence of the min-maxing system as a design philosophy pattern on the gameplay mechanics and everything. Now we're talking about E3 because I've already spent 2 hours talking about that, and pretty much I love talking with you about the rest of the topics. But you have the first 2 hours of the stream fully dedicated to min-maxing as a design paradigm that we treated today. A lot of aspects. We'll continue with the analysis on Thursday with this stat system, pretty much. I want to take a deeper look at it. But going back to E3, I think that pretty much we might be witnessing some of the last generations, if you ask me, because the PC market has absorbed a huge portion of it. It has absorbed a huge portion. This is where how we arrived, right? No. Well, I mean, no, we were okay over there. The PC market has absorbed a huge portion of the console market, if you think about it. And as I've said, eventually, they will collide. Eventually, that undermining will collide with what they've done. We are seeing it right now. I see a lot of people now saying that why would I want a PlayStation or an Xbox if I can go for a PC? There's the argument of money that you mentioned, Pekarin, and it's absolutely valid, and the convenience. But as progressively worldwide economy stabilizes, for example, in the US it's stabilizing, people will dispose of more income, and as I've said, it's a generational thing. Kids are more and more in contact with technology from a young age, and the direct consequence of that is that the barrier of knowledge required to build a PC will be lower and lower. And as that progressively happens, I do believe Xbox and PlayStation, both Sony and Microsoft, will have a huge problem. I think they'll have a huge problem because they will be relegated to toys at that point, and there's no better toy than the Nintendo's than Nintendo. Nintendo is the best at creating toys. You know that Nintendo previously was a toy company, and they, I think they will dominate the console market. Unless something goes terribly wrong, that's what will happen. That's my prediction, my humble 2 cents prediction of it, pretty much. And there's another thing, something that I always tell on, something that I tell from time to time on stream. Did you know how the gaming industry got independent from the movies industry, from the film industry? It's a quite interesting case. It was because of an ape. The most famous ape ever. It was because of an ape. That's how the gaming industry became independent from the... I tell this story from time to time because it's something that is not told frequently in the gaming industry, and I think it deserves being told much more frequently. I'm sorry that it crashed, people. This zone clearly loads the memory pipeline way too much, and I'm not all tabbing. It was a case, a legal case, a leading case. You know that I'm also I'm also a lawyer. I work as English teacher and software developer, but I also graduated as lawyer. And I can assure you that it was the case of Universal versus Nintendo. How the gaming industry got independent from the film industry, because you know that originally there are a lot of references that could be considered that pretty much a copyright infringement, that the gaming industry is copying the film industry, and pretty much it was the case of lawyer John Kirby. Lawyer John Kirby, what I'm telling you is real. You can Google it. You can verify that everything I'm telling you is it's correct. Um, Lawyer John Kirby, the guardian angel of Donkey Kong. Yes, it's Kirby. It's a story that is not told a lot. Back in the 80s, I think it was. I think it was in the 80s. Nintendo develops the arcade machine Donkey Kong, the original, the original Donkey Kong, the one that is kind of like the labyrinth, and Mario has to only go to the top of it and beat Donkey Kong and save Princess. It was the other one. It was Pauline instead of Princess Peach or Toadstool, and the original, the legendary arcade machine from the 80s. And Universal sued Nintendo. I checked the latest PC market share stats. PC have 43 compared to 57 for consoles, and PC is growing faster. Well, so I was wrong or I was right? What would you say? No, but I think it's a tendency that eventually it will collide and it will be even worse. Does that include the Steam Deck? Because the Steam Deck is not PC, but I mean, it's developed by the main PC dominant factor of Bulb. I don't know. Well, but whatever. Yeah, you're right. I think eventually, as I said, metaphysical reality eventually, like you said, they are making more money. Right now, they are making more money, Picard. I totally agree with you. They are making more money. The investors are demanding that, and they are getting it. They are getting it done. They are demanding Jim Ryan or Herman Hulst more money, and they are doing it by doing releases with the AAA games just like you described. They're getting the money right now. But as a long-term strategy, I think it's a bubble that will burst. I think it's a bubble that will burst because it's based on pretty much lack of knowledge on how to build a PC at this point. There isn't a logical reason behind the console. You named it convenience. Yeah, convenience. But the second you can create a PC, what will happen? That will happen. What you are mentioning, that is a tendency. It's kind of like a tendency. Going back to the interesting story, people. Going back to the interesting story. Lawyer John Kirby will appear in this story as a later character. But well, first, Universal demands they sue Nintendo. See that people always say Nintendo sues everyone, all modders, and etc. And I think it's a terrible policy, huh? I also criticize Nintendo for that. They should be a bit more open regarding modding and those things. They go to some weird extremes, it's true. But that does not change the fact. That does not change the fact here. That does not change the fact that that they still retain that last samurai mentality that Pekarin was mentioning, and I agree that they do not relativize. They do not relativize socially within their player base. They don't undermine the true meaning of the words of the word exclusive. They say this is what we offer. This is what you'll get. You won't get a lot of maybe AAA games that maybe don't run on the PS on the Nintendo Switch, but there's a cohesion. There's a psychological cohesion between the product that they're offering and their market strategy. In the case of the other two, I think there's a dissociation between those that will eventually collide, or is already colliding according to the data that you are showing me, Pekarin. It's already colliding. I think it is being absorbed. How do we exit go to that zone? Pretty much, I think it was through here. I think it was through here that it would lead me, damn it. And going back to the story, Universal sued Nintendo because they argued that picturing a monkey, an ape, on top of a huge structure, was just so you can see that Nintendo is also a pioneer, and I think they know, they definitely know about this. As I said, the PC is the best platform if I had to categorize them, of course, but I would say that they bring a lot of innovation to the table. But pretty much Universal sues Nintendo. They sued Nintendo, saying that a monkey on top of a huge structure holding a princess or any person, that was copyright infringement. Pretty much quite interesting story. Nintendo had no representation over at the US because the trial was over at the US, people. Of course, because Universal Pictures was there. There wasn't a strong presence of the gaming industry, and this is related to the fact that I don't like that Jeff Keighley undermined E3, because it destroys the culture around video games, which is different when compared to culture around movies. And precisely, culture around movies try to destroy gaming culture at some point with this. So Universal said that you're looking for wood planks, and said thanks, perfect. We need to do this one. We received the quest here, and there's another one over here, huh? I mean, this is a maze, people. The density of the level design is terrible. It's amazing. It's quite high. Then Universal sues Nintendo. They had no representation, and one valiant and brave lawyer stepped up, stood up to the challenge. Bring me 9 stray cats. I have a request. If you don't like killing animals for his fur, I need the cats.
You are indebted to the Inquisition.
One brave lawyer stepped up to the challenge. Lawyer John Kirby. And he heroically protected and defended Nintendo over at the US in that leading case. In the leading case, with his great defense, he argued that a monkey on top of a huge structure wasn't a copyright infringement. It was pretty much Donkey Kong compared to King Kong from Universal Pictures. I'm saying this because the other day I said Paramount some streams ago, when I told this story, a lot of streams ago. Emeralds are big in my eyes. There we go. We complete that one. And let me see that there's another one here. And pretty much After that, the interesting part of the story. Look at my hair. There we go. The good part of the amazing part of the story is that Miyamoto was designing a character and he couldn't name it. It was all round and white originally, and after they win, after John Kirby successfully defends Nintendo, uh, Miyamoto names that character the one that we now know as Kirby. It's pretty much the guardian angel, the protector of Donkey Kong, in commemoration of lawyer John Kirby. That pretty much protected Nintendo and gave independence to the gaming industry as a whole, because he proved that Donkey Kong wasn't a copy of King Kong. That the fact that they are both monkeys or apes on top of a building holding a person is not enough as to prove copyright infringement. Quite an amazing story, huh? I love to tell it from time to time because it's something that we don't appreciate a lot nowadays, and I think it's a terrible mistake. What the? How do I get to the others? Ah no, it's here, it's here, it's here. It's here, it's here, the objective is here. That is not told enough nowadays. It's not told enough, and it's quite important because it gave independence to the gaming industry, pretty much. Nowadays we have think about what would have happened, for example, to Link in The Legend of Zelda, kind of like the New Line Cinema, the producers of The Lord of the Ring. They could have said that, well, but Legolas is a ring, so Link, it's a copy of Legolas. Like, imagine that. We could have disputes like that without that leading case. And it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing, people. That we have. That we had a pioneer. See how hidden it is? I hate it when it's so hidden. This is the exit, yeah. This is the exit that I was looking for. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. It's so incredibly high, the level design complexity of this zone. So it's a story that is not told a lot, and I think it's worth mentioning because people don't know the relationship between Kirby and Donkey Kong, and it's pretty much the very reason why we have an independent industry right now. So yeah, pretty much. It's a story that I think, going back to my argument about D3, would you say that, for example, Jeff Keighley with the Game Awards knows about this story? I bet Miyamoto does, because he worked at the company. I bet they do. But Jeff Keighley doesn't. No. Besides the joke, I think it's an insult that compare listening to Miyamoto and listening to Jeff Keighley, and I'm sorry, I don't know how anyone could possibly argue that it's better to listen to Jeff Keighley. I'm sorry, I don't think anyone could justify that. I don't know how the person would do it. I cannot imagine any logical reasons as to defend that position. But yeah, pretty much. I am sad that this relativization, the social relativization, this undermining of the true meaning of the concept of exclusive games has affected E3 and besides the pandemic and other reasons, it wasn't the only reason, but I think it played a huge role because there was, as I said, a cultural value to E3 that we've certainly lost. We've lost it, and I think it's sad. I feel absolutely sad, and it depresses me a bit sometimes because, well, I think that social relativization. Alright, I think that's all of them. I know we have one more. No. We have to go over there and finish the other quest, the gold test there. And yeah, pretty much, people see how just like I could have all of the logical arguments for which I analyze the games. I can also tell you that there are logical arguments to say that console wars are not. We are not idiots fighting over pieces of plastic. There's a metaphysical reason behind it. Like, it's not the same quality objectively.
It seems I have
E3 and the
reached
Summer
my
Game Fest
destination.
and the Game Awards. We've lost a lot of objective quality if you think about it. So pretty much, pretty much. Um, as I've said, eventually, the investors might now be happy, but eventually, I think it will collide. Well, you mentioned preset 43 to 57 of consoles, but and PCs growing faster. But yeah, as I said, we will need to add the Steam Deck and the Asus ROG Ally and the GPD Win and a lot of portable consoles are basically PCs. I don't know. Benjamin, you got it right. We need to help
Even though
in
it
a lot of
is
use. The
below
shame.
my rank,
So yeah, I think we
I am
lost a lot of
interested in your
quality. I
assignment.
think we definitely lost a lot of quality. I don't like that. And just like in game reviews, I don't like it we lower the average
New to you?
when we lower the average quality of analysis. I don't like it when the average quality of game presentations is also degraded. Like, we had I remember. Well, we can name iconic E3 moments, people that uh, pretty much when Nintendo presented the all of their consoles, when they presented the DS with the Metroid Prime Hunters demo. Uh, it was amazing. We couldn't believe that we had achieved, for example, PS1 quality on the go, or when the PSP was released, that we had PS2 quality on the go, roughly, and they were amazing moments. Or when, well, I remember the sad E3 in which, and this is also related to this, the sad E3 in which Microsoft announced during the 8th generation that the Xbox One would be an online-only console. Absolutely, that was the death of Xbox immediately during that generation, during the 8th generation, when they said constantly connected to the internet. Then they went back on their words, but God, I mean, this zone. What's the problem with this zone that is crashing so much? The memory pipeline hates this zone. God damn it! It's just in this stream it has crashed so many times. I think it's a stream in which the game has crashed the most out of all of my streams, people. But yeah, pretty much we've lost a lot of quality. We've lost a lot of quality, and besides that, we if you think about it, when the Xbox One was announced as online only, the reaction was immediate. See if it's actual. If there's an argument to say it is pro customer to have the E3, uh, that the backlash was immediate, and Xbox couldn't recover for a whole generation, and I think we still see the effects of that now when Yushei Yoshida gave to Adam Bosch the copy of Killzone Shadowfall, when they said, "How do we share a game? Take it." That was the the death of Xbox during that generation, and I think it's still the effects. We still see the effects nowadays. Um, but those reactions, they're actually pro customer because you have a direct comparison. They cannot record video, they cannot have everything planned, they had to improvise. We don't appreciate the fact enough that we're talking about CEOs from multi-million dollar companies having to come down to to dismount from their pony, from their high horse, come down to earth and be essentially TV show presenters, TV showmans when they did it. They had to be dynamic. They had to kind of like use their memory instead of, as I always say, I hate scripted reviews, and also for that, they had to, they needed to have natural reactions that everyone could see in real time. And we've lost that because Jeff Keighley doesn't have to analyze anything. What does he analyze? When to eat the best food over at the hotel with Kojima. What does he analyze at the end of the day, people? Let's be honest. What does he analyze? When Miyamoto did his presentations back in the day, when Reggie Fils-Aime, when Jack Tretton, when Bill Gates, when everyone did their presentations back in E3 times, they would spend 2 or 3 hours talking continuously. They might have had a teleprompter, but it's not the same. It's not the same as a scripted. They had to improvise. They had to. If a game failed, this happened a lot of times. If a game failed because the console overheated or something, everyone would see it, and it would be a public humiliation. It was real time. It was real time. There was a real time consequence. Now, with all due respect, with Mr. Doritos guy, we get a show. A show like if you turn on the TV and you say, what I'm gonna watch today on Netflix. The Oscars, no, it's called the Game Awards, for example. Just like a Netflix series, pretty much. Like a ceremony, like the Oscars. And I think we've lost a lot of quality. I do believe we've lost a lot of quality, and I think that's tragic. Definitely. But, as I said, eventually, slowly but surely, metaphysical reality always finds its way to research, because that's the only thing that relativism cannot manipulate at the end of the day. If I tell you to eat raw meat, you will tell me that that's a terrible food because raw meat can indeed kill you. But there might be a person who says, I know, but I like raw meat. Yeah, but it will kill you. Then, objectively, it's bad. It's not a matter of mental perception. The same thing that I say always. If it kills you, it's bad because it has a negative impact on your health. In fact, it can kill you. So, here's the same. Right now, there are two discourses. They are pretty much two perceptions. That having games on all platforms, it's pro-consumer. I think it's a populist stance. I think it's an absolutely populist stance. And populism, it derives into relativism pretty fast, and eventually the process begins. I think it's a populist stance that takes away the identity from consoles. And as I've said, it's a terrible mistake to say that people who, like me or you, Pekarin, who talk about console exclusivities, that we are idiots fighting over pieces of plastic, because that's another hominem fallacy. Pretty much at the end of the day, Pekarin, you are not attacking the argument of the subject. You are attacking the person who says said argument, who has that argument. You're attacking the person, not the argument. Like, you are attacking the argument without using any kind of logic. You are not using any kind of logic. You are simply saying people who don't agree with the fact that console exclusives are bad, they're idiots fighting over pieces of plastic. I've read this 1,000 times. That implicitly ignores reality and law and all logical arguments 100%. You didn't answer me why. You never, the person who has this stance that we are idiots fighting over pieces of plastic without any other argument. The person who says that has not answered me why taking out the exclusives out of the equation, why it doesn't destroy the personality of the console, which is my argument, that you are destroying the inherent creative value behind that console. Not only the machine itself, but for example the interactivity like Tearaway, with the rear pad of the PS Vita or the 3DS dual screens or the 3D
Does
effects
that
or
hurt,
whatever.
heretic?
The person is not
Go
debunking
ahead.
my arguments, saying that console wars are for idiots who fight over pieces of plastic. Here we are at the edge of the map, people. Finally, what a long journey. Here you go. I should have done this at the beginning of the series. Defeat 5 spiders. Good for the
Since
next
this
part of the
matter
task.
is of such
The ones that are over
importance to
there. Let's
you,
get rid of all of the quests in this enclosed location, but because then it took me 2 hours just to access this location, so you bet I'm going to take advantage of it. To take an advantage of it. I am going to finish all of the quests and then get out of it only after doing that. I'm not gonna make that mistake again. So yes, the second someone has that stance, which is a populist stance at the end of the day, because uh, as I said, people, uh, they have not told me, or the person saying that argument has not told me why the console is not losing its personality. My argument, if we take exclusives out of the equation, the logical reasoning behind my argument is not being debunked. You are just telling me that I'm an idiot, or we are idiots for fighting over pieces of plastic. That's a populist stance. And populism relies on relativism, 100%. See that there's a there's a direct link between them. Uh, so you say, or the person says, you are just idiots fighting over pieces of plastic, right? Yeah. Well, tell me, what will you say when the migration that Pekarin was mentioning, for example, that I think I don't know where you got the statistics, but they are pretty accurate as I see them. When those statistics become worse, thank you, Tesla
everything
will
goes as
reward you. There we
planned.
go. Let's turn in this quest as well, and we need to kill the spiders. I'll do all of the quests in this region. I've learned my lesson. People, I've learned my lesson, because otherwise then I won't find my way back here to complete the quests. Um, Pretty much, he's not debunking my argument as to why consoles are losing their personality, why there's a huge migration to the PC market. Uh, the person has not answered me um, why um, in the case of not losing personality, why personality in a console is not needed at all, that you don't need any hook for the customer, like the 3DS has the 3D, the DS has the dual screens, the PlayStation Vita has the power of a PS2 in the palm of your hand. They are hooks for the customer. They are hooks. Uh, it does not attack the logic of my argument, saying that saying the populist and relativist argument that we are idiots fighting over pieces of plastic, people. It does not debunk the main logic of my argument. Did my husband send you? No, I'm fine. I managed to find the place where the daughter is being held captive, and I don't want to sign you here. That dreadful cult that calls itself the Shadows of Life has Gilmga. They're all nuts. Each one is crazier than the next. A master promises his followers eternal life in a happy, bodiless form, after death, of course. For this, they will serve him in this
Everything
life.
goes as planned.
Go to the cave and find the figment. Well,
If I
we'll do
don't
it because
receive
people.
appropriate
We'll do it
pay,
because we won't get the
I will
chance to get
send
to
a
this
few
remote
crazy.
location. You could see that I got lost several times, so let's do it before I have to come back here. Uh, please don't crash again. What's going on today? Today, this area is the worst I've seen. Fortunately, I saved 2 seconds ago. It's the worst I've seen for the crashes. I had in the previous stream, you could see people. We played for 3 hours and nothing happened, but it's absolutely terrible now. this area, I don't know, the memory pipeline gets crazy. Going back to the E3 and the PC and console market, well, I think I I think I complained about Jeff Keighley with I complained about Mr. Doritos guy enough. But for example, do you know about the PAX conference over at Germany? Um, that one survived the pandemic, and we still have it. And you can see there that the quality is still very high over at PAX West and PAX East. You can see that the quality is very high there, and we still have a reminiscence of E3 in that one. And compare the quality of the PAX East and West with the Game Awards. And I don't know, people, if any of you have any argument as to why, as to how the Game Awards would be better with Mr. Doritos guy going to Kojima's hotel and not knowing a thing about video games and turning it into a shit show so he can get money. Uh, I don't know. Maybe the Game Awards have a hidden quality that I cannot perceive, but eminent eminently, I think the E3 was much superior, and I'm sad that we'll never be able to attend E3.